Good evening, good evening. Welcome. I lost power to my stream deck. But I guess it's alright, I can just use my mouse over here for now. Good evening, welcome. The PlayStation gave us a free game to try. We're gonna give that a try today. I need to also check out something here. I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter. Good evening. No stream deck, we're going with the mouse today. That's fine. I don't know why we lost power to it. Yeah, they gave us this game here. What is it? The Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. I heard this game was cool. It's kind of an older game, I believe. When did this come out in PC? It's been a while. $2013. So it's been quite some time. I never got to play it, and I never was going to spend money on it, but they gave it to us for free on here, so we're finally going to try it. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. And if I don't like it, hey, it costs us nothing. Hey, watch your ears, everybody. I gotta get to the audio settings. I have a feeling this game's loud. That was already loud to me. Just clicking on that was loud. Just a heads up. Please choose a screen and subtitle language. I guess we'll put subtitles on. Yeah. English. Have I played this before? No. No. So 13. This came out 12 years ago. We've never played it. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Yeah, that's pretty close, right? What do you guys think? I mean, I can still see it on my monitor, even right here. It might be too dark for some people's devices. I don't know. We'll go over here. Watch your ears. I'm telling you guys, watch your ears, man. I don't know if this game's gonna be loud. I gotta get into the audio settings on here. What time is it? PM. I mean, weird question. Why not just sync to the internet? Here we go, let me go here. Here we go, guys, here we go. Let's turn this down, man. Maybe 30?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Alright.
This is the story of a man named. This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Such an audio snob, man. I'm such an audio snob. It's disgusting, I know. Alright. I'm gonna leave all the FOV and stuff how it is for now. Or leave sensitivity because we don't really know what it is yet. Alright, let's see what this game's about. YouTube, Twitch. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. I've never tried it. 12-year-old game. Let's see what it's all about. I heard this was a cool game. I heard this was a cool game.
Company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-making, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong.
Interesting.
Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I'm in. I'm in control of Stanley. Now, what do you want me to do, buddy? This guy hates Mondays. Stanley hates Mondays. 9427. Hitting random buttons right now to see if we can get anything to trigger. Did hit something. What'd I do? Alright. What? Alright, cool.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Where is everybody? Hello?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
This is a puzzle game? Why is it making keyboard sounds? Is this a puzzle game? I'm wondering if this is a puzzle game.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Just reading a little bit of these things on here. Just kind of get an idea what the hell's even going on. Huh. Huh. Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I guess for now we just listen to this narrator and follow him. So we actually can figure out what's going on.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Is this a horror game?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Always question things, Stanley. I'm questioning why that was drawn on the ground right there.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I'll play their game. Play their game.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
There is a crouch.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
I mean, kind of what we're doing now.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Yeah, sounds like we're under mind control right now. We keep listening to this guy. We just keep listening to the narrator. But it's alright. That's what we'll do. What we'll do. See what happens. It's a 1, 2. 1, 2. 5 up there. 5. I don't know what these numbers mean yet. This must be a puzzle game. 3. 1, 2, 3. Gotta be a 4 somewhere. I would assume. Alright. Just move forward. Mind controls idle awaiting input. What is this? Stay in the corner. Mind control system.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Uh-huh. There we go. We beat the whole...
And a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Game over. We won.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
I don't think so.
Even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him.
What is going on?
This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
GG's, beat the game, man. Hey, we did! At least that trophy said so. Simple, man. Okay. So that was actually an ending then, huh? We did beat the game. But now we're back in here. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
I see.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
This is a puzzle game. Got it. We got the easiest ending possible. Just to listen to the guy and follow exactly what he says. So, let's mess around for a little bit.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room.
You can choose, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah, I ain't listening to that fool.
worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Yeah, it's nice. That's
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took
that is a nice
the first
room.
open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Yeah. Narrator's already getting upset.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Interesting.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone. As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone?
I did.
That wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
Let me double check.
Yeah, I did that, buddy.
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But
Man, quit trying to mind control me, man.
Be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Kind of funny.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
What? Stop. Stop upside down. Stop. Stop. I feel like there's some puzzles involved here. Maybe not. Lots of 8s. Stop. Okay. I don't like this guy telling me what to do. Interviewing and interrogation techniques. Written on that paper. Man, you can make me go all the way back now? Really? Wow. Okay.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and
Yeah, I see. You gated me in.
character dying senselessly halfway through the story.
I see.
The story will make no sense at all.
You can't jump. I know.
Get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Ooh, man. Now they got me working inside of a bubble. They're not letting me take a risk anymore. Oh man. Oh man.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Yeah, the real world, huh?
All you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of...
Alright, what happens if I go the wrong way again?
He entered the door on his left.
Is this guy gonna freak out?
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Oh yeah, it's making the game melt down. I like this. Oh, yeah, it's all imploding on itself. This is cool. Sucks, I don't think there's anything else I can do here. Okay. That was me just being a smartass.
It's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was
he's
so
so
special about seeing the game
angry.
here like so much garbage. It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
This dude's having a mental breakdown, man.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny?
Yeah.
You just had to see? Didn't
Yes.
I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Oh, we got this game broken.
That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yeah, come on. We got this dude broke.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
The beige page. Okay. All right, this is...
Sitting inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it.
Gun to a panda's head.
In this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
No. No, no, no.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall. I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver.
No.
Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect.
Oh, you're so rude.
Shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right?
Another ending, huh?
This is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, are you there?
It's a cool game.
Yeah?
Cool game so far.
Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct.
Probably even more endings, huh?
That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do.
Oh, man.
As much time as you need.
Yeah, got the credits all broke and stuff. Yeah. Stanley ain't wanting to do nothing. Oh, no, man. Yeah, okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It's pretty cool.
Stanley came to a set of two open
This is
doors.
cool.
He entered the door on his left.
I like the vibes. I like the vibes of this.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I feel like a newer version of somebody made a game similar to this in 2024. 2025. There's some hidden lore right there. I wrote this in first period and left it in your locker on the way to school. It's what all the cool kids are doing. I decided, write me back, and here's an idea for something to draw. 2 cats on a motorcycle. Hey, this is a good idea. What all the cool kids are actually doing is sending each other pages on their beepers, but we're cooler than them. Yeah. And then they drew the 2 cats on the motorcycle.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
This one looks like it is.
Said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real.
No, this one's repeating.
Last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh,
No.
relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now,
Oh, Stanley.
shocked to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to
I'm
himself.
still walking.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over.
Ooh, I made it through a door.
Back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal.
Ooh, I made it through another door. I memorized this whole thing.
Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Oh, I'm in a corner. Okay, we made it through one door at least.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
No footsteps.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Huh?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself. And then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Yeah, clever. That's a clever one. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
How many different endings are in this?
Decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
What time is it? Let's get another ending or two, and then.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code.
What if there's some other codes I can put in there?
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Yeah, I'm gonna try something new here.
Stanley walked straight ahead.
It's a cool game. Alright, let's try this.
Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Yeah, let's find out.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yes. Yep. Yes, I am.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Hey, farewell, GG's, everybody.
Farewell, Stanley. cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Interesting. Selection of sounds used throughout the game. One's but each sound is a mix of keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. Uh-huh. (2013), huh? I mean, yeah. Cool. It's over here.
Stanley pushed the number 6. Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track to where he's supposed to be in the story. Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track.
Pretty cool. In the previous version, the choice leading to the apartment ending a timer of 50 seconds with the phone. Yeah. I mean, cool. I'm actually curious to how many endings are actually in this game. Because I can see there being a lot of them. Narrator emails. After the second trailer we sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we initially had planned to use these for the promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Will the game feature capybaras? How do you stay in shape? Are you gay? Subject, gay. Okay. Cool. Does this lead anywhere? From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. These were all created about a year apart from each other. Okay. Okay. Wow, it took you guys that long, huh? Took you guys that long to decide a couple. Wow, huh? Alright. All right.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Bring back the narrator. I need him.
But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Nah, GG's. I want to do one more ending. I'm not turning it off yet.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
I want to get to
Stanley
the
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I'm gonna get to that big room. I was almost there, but I took that little exit
When
room.
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I want to hit those buttons. I think those buttons do something.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
We got to do this again. Hit this button sequence over here.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's...
The shit this guy says.
Yes, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code. by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Cool game. I'm gonna look this up and see if these devs made any other games.
Stanley walked straight ahead.
This is cool. Yeah, I want to get in here.
Control facility.
That's where I wanted to go.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof.
And that's what I wanted to try.
The operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating,
Does
working,
this do anything?
all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
I think what we should do is turn this all on. Try turning this on.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off.
I like
What
this.
precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
I don't know either, bud.
You'd like to know where your co-workers are. A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
Oh, this dude's sick.
To say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Rich. I almost hate to see it
I'll
go.
say press a
But
1.
I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Thank
These
you.
are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room.
Yes!
Numbered buttons. No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will
What about this
save
big
you.
red button?
Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Oh, this guy's sick. This guy's sick in the head, man.
Disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds.
Amazing.
And then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Amazing. Alright, I think that's all I wanted to try for now.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Pretty good. Why are these doors not shutting behind me? No.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Alright, this game is badass. This game is badass.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Yes.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Yeah, is there even any new content, or are they just bullshitting me?
Okay, so far it's an elevator. nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we...
You guys trapped me.
Moving somewhere or, oh, here we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
This announcer guy kind of reminds me of like the Little Big Planet guy.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if
Like if the Little Big Planet guy lost his mind.
Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Wow, this is some good content. I might as well use this new content. Aw. That sucks. A sprint would be cool too. You guys should have add a sprint.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's
Yeah.
just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If there's
Yeah.
new content, then I could just
They can't lie, they added a jump to the game.
hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good.
Sprint. Sprint.
I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Sprint. Thank you for enjoying the new content.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this?
These guys are trolls.
I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend? Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Yeah, I kind of want to see. This game's kind of wild.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the
Whoa.
game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
New Elden Ring update. Oh.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
That's true.
Oh, the waste.
That is true. And I ignored it. I ignored this game for 12 years. It is what it is, man. There was better shit at the time, man. I'm sorry. Nice. And loving memory of little Stanley. Oh, look at him. Oh, little Stanley. That's my favorite part of the game so far, man. That's cute. Poor little baby, little Stanley. Damn. Man, R.I.P. Stanley, man.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com.
Yeah.
James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
These dudes are funny. These dudes are these devs are funny. I like them. I like these guys. Kind of back roomy. Person of the year. Guess who that is? Look at that character design. Wow. Proud of you. The end is never the end.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games, and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise. These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Your nightmares.
Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Oh
Sure,
boy.
these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining.
Ooh.
Funny.
Ouch.
I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Ooh. That one hurts, narrator. There's a thumbs up for you. There's a thumbs down for you.
This one says.
Now what's this one say?
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who first
Very repetitive, boring, despite all the alternate endings the game can.
Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear.
Ouch.
Awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
You did.
Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Ooh. Oh, here's another one.
What's this one got to say?
I get it's supposed to be a parable of something, but listening to that patronizing voice and droning on and on isn't fun. You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. Ooh.
Yes, I think we can do that.
Ouch.
Too preachy then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment. Surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Alright, let's start skipping some content. What's back here? Could have hit something back there, would have been a good idea.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again.
Oh my god, the plants are dead.
For 2 weeks. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about our...
Hello? The door is gone. The door is gone. Well. I'm skipping that. That's annoying.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us.
How many years has it been?
The end is never the end, 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 is never
Oh boy.
is never...
It's kind of a horror game, huh? Psychological horror. Oh. That little leak got bad. Hey, your roof leak got kind of bad. Oh my. How long has it been? Oh my, how long has it been? Oh, hell no. Get us out of here. Oh, we get escape? Button work anymore? Oh boy. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Well. Anything in the distance? Oh boy. Well, time to hit that dusty trail. Let's follow the sun, maybe. Man. Oh. The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. I like it.
All of his co-workers were gone.
The end is never the end, is never the end. Okay, that's where I'm gonna call it on this game for the day.
Simply missed a memo.
I think it's a good spot to end our Stanley Parable. The end is never the end, is never the... I'm not sure how much content we actually have left. The end is never the end, is never the end. Yeah, all the computers say the end is never the end now. Man, I wonder if it saves, man. Because, I mean, it's progressing. We're progressing. This is new. Like, we are progressing. Yeah, let's end it here. Maybe we'll... I don't know how much more we have left. Is there a continue button? Or are we starting from scratch? Might be starting from scratch.
This is the story.
I think we starting from scratch.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Yeah.
What could it...
Alright. It's alright. Good game, guys. Good game. That's it for me today. That's all I'm gonna put into this game for now. Might revisit it, might not. We'll see. I like it. Thought it was a cool game. I like the idea. I don't know how much more I actually had left, but we'll call it quits there. I'll keep this VOD up on YouTube. I'll make a playlist for this one too, up on YouTube. If I do come back to it, I'll put the next part on there too. Have a good evening. Have a good night. Not sure if I will be on tomorrow. It's gonna be Thursdays. Tomorrow's Thursday. That's gonna be up in the air if we're gonna be on tomorrow and what we're gonna do. So if I do, I'll see you then. If not, I'll see you when I see you. You guys have a good evening. Take care.